Well, it is political season in, I guess, all over the country, but certainly here in Lubbock County. And as promised, we have Leanne Dumbauld with us this morning. Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. You're running for Bill McKay's old seat in Precinct 1 as county commissioner. How's it
Yes,
going?
sir. Well, it's going really well. I will say I'll be glad when it's over on March 3rd. You know, you can just be nice for so long and then you have to give it up.
You're not supposed to tell people that.
I know, but it's true and everybody knows it.
So the county's had a lot that's happened recently. One of the big things that was the medical examiner issues that they had, and they just apparently they're going to start moving everything out. How do you, with the medical examiner, do you think that Lubbock needs to hire another one, or do you think what they're doing seems to be working?
I think as many changes as they've had to go through, that they need to stick with this plan, see how it goes. If it doesn't, they can do something else. But for the moment, we have to solve this for the families and not create any more turmoil for this community or for the DA's office or for those who are defending. So I would leave it alone, see what the price is, and take a look at it in a year unless it blows up again.
Yeah. Well, Leanne, you've a little history on you. You came to Lubbock as the CFO of the city, right?
Yes, sir. I came here in 2004. I was recruited by the then city manager, Lou Fox.
Yeah, and then you became the city manager for a while. And so tell me what, you got a background in government, so obviously you're aware of what's going on in Lubbock County. What kind of shape is Lubbock County in financially? I mean, obviously that's probably one of your strengths.
It is my major strength is public finance, and I've worked in 7 different jurisdictions around the country. Even though City of Lubbock fired me, I chose to make Lubbock my home, and as I've said countless times, I wish I had raised my kids here. Nonetheless, because it is my personal expertise, I'm very concerned about the situation that the county's in. Now, we won't have financial statements presented that will be available publicly till probably after the March 3rd election, I'm guessing. So the numbers that I have that are audited numbers are certainly old. But when I looked at it after they issued the statements last year, and I did a 20-year financial history of Lubbock County and the city and the school district. And I looked at what had happened to fund balance for the county, and I was extremely alarmed. And then you look at their planned drawdown for the fiscal year that ended September 30 of 19, they would really be in a cash flow dilemma.
Now, the problem is their reserves, right?
It's their reserves, and you use your reserves, which just means cash in the bank. There's nothing fancy about it. You've got to have 4 months of operating in the bank because governments don't get their big tax revenue until December and January. So you've got to be able to cover payroll and your usual operating costs, and they pulled it down way too low.
So how can they build that back up is there a way that they can build that back up without taxing more?
The county's going to have to be extremely careful about what it spends for the next, hopefully they did this past year, and the year to come, the budget year that we're in, and we have to not have any more major issues like the cost of technology. Voting machines were another big cash drawdown on reserves. Medical examiner's office, which you mentioned, we can't sustain any more decisions such as those. Get the cash back to where it belongs, and then there's a whole host of things that have not been quantified nor planned going into the future. The $99 million for the road bonds, which I support absolutely, is, I'm afraid, going to be sort of the tip of the iceberg as you look at growth.
Those are bonds, though.
Those are bonds, but you got to pay for them, and you got to pay for them with property tax and sales tax. So it's not free.
So
Yeah.
have you been talking to the new commissioners and Curtis Parrish about, your concerns with this? Have you been in touch with them and kind of?
Yes, I certainly have. And I worked during the budget process with Jason and Chad to help them get in a position where they could keep it at the effective rate, which will remain our goal going into the future. We do have great growth in the county, but we have to be very judicious with how we spend it because we have huge demands just for public safety and the court system alone.
Mm-hmm. And,
Well,
okay,
we have a texter this morning that says no raises for city government. I think he means county government. But Leanne, we're talking with Leanne Dumbauld is running for county commissioner. So no raises for county government for a while then? Question mark.
That would not be my plan. I don't think we should balance the budget on the backs of the employees that do the work.
So we had someone from Precinct 3. They were talking about we need another pod for the jail. How would we go about doing that? Would we need another bond for that? And do you think that's needed?
Well, before we talk about POD, there are a variety of things driving the current situation. Sheriff Rowe did a presentation Monday at the commissioners' meeting about doing a public safety study, and they have agreed to do that. And that's going to have to include the court system because the average days of stay, I think he said, went from 17 up to 24, so that's going to drive your population up. I know over the Christmas holidays, they met capacity at the jail. So jail expansion is one alternative, but we have to look at the whole process to determine if a pod has to be built, that will have to go before the voters. You can't pay cash.
And you're talking a lot of money.
It's a huge amount of money. And if I quote, I've heard the number 40 million. It could be half that. It could be a third of that. I have no idea how much a jail pod will
But
cost.
now we are housing some inmates from other counties, are we not? So isn't the jail receiving some revenue?
It has in the past, but now that we're at capacity, that revenue, of course, will diminish on whether we can take other prisoners. That's a better question for Sheriff
And
Rowe.
we can't make them pay the prisoners pay, can we? like Hotel 6 or something.
Right. We'll leave the light on.
Yeah, that's what Sheriff Rose says. We'll leave the light on for you.
Yeah.
Okay, 7:15 a.m. We'll take a quick break. We're talking to Leanne Dumbauld, running for Precinct 1 County Commissioner. If you have a question, our text lines are open this morning at 806-680-2790. Love to hear from you. Back with Leanne in a moment. And we're back here at 7:21 a.m. We're talking with Leanne Dumbauld, running for Lubbock County Commissioner, Precinct 1. And we have several people, Leanne, who have commented this morning via text messages. And one says, and I doubt that you are probably up to speed on this yet because this is some, internal workings of the county. It says, so what is the plan for the county roads around Indiana 1585 all the way to Woodrow? They fill potholes every 2 weeks due to all the traffic, and when will we see that street widened? And again, that's
Couldn't tell you yet.
Yeah.
I know a good portion is included in that $99 million bond issue, and the city is doing, I believe, is going to the city limits line.
Yeah. And one of the main roads is out there at Cooper. That's
Woodrow
Woodrow.
Road.
yeah, they've been needing to do that for years
so
and
the-
years. And so that's one we had the Cooper superintendent of schools on about that.
So of that first $99 million that was voted, the county issued just $5 million of it at the end of last fiscal year. So all that $5 million is going to do is pay for engineering to get these projects jump started.
Yeah, we have another texter that says more update on me on the medical examiner.
I don't get to go to executive session and hear what they've done with litigation, so I
Okay.
can't help them any.
So what percentage of the jail is populated by illegal immigrants that committed crimes other than being in the country illegally? And what does the housing, each of them, cost the taxpayer?
Let's ask Kelly Rowe that question. I certainly don't have it,
Yeah,
but
I
it's a
got you.
good question and it needs to be asked.
All right.
So we were talking about Woodrow Road. One thing that Curtis Parrish, the county judge, has brought up is getting money from the state to help with that, which he thinks is going to expand that $99 million. Do you see any avenues for that?
The MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, is contributing funds into the various road projects, particularly Loop 88. It will help, but it's not going to change the fact that we'll be issuing the $99 million that will cover a lot of projects across the county.
Okay. So as far as northeast Lubbock, I know that's not really in your district, but there's a lot of unpaved roads in that area. Is that something I know that the city has looked at, as well as the county has talked about it? Do you know of any plans to work on those roads in that area?
I know they included in this bond issue $5 million to do caliche primarily in that area. When you analyze roads, I think you need to look at the number of residents that live on a road, whether they're using it for farming, whether they're using it to get to their home, and you have to take each one independently. But caliche will help a great deal. Bond funding caliche, though, I object to, because caliche only lasts 5 years, and a bond you pay on for 20, 25 years, and that should not occur. We should be paying caliche pay-as-you-go each and every year and keep up with it.
Yeah. Well, Leanne, tell me, what do you see when you look at your crystal ball? What is the biggest issues that Lubbock County is facing?
The biggest issue is public safety, and I'm glad that Sheriff Rowe is embarking on doing a full study. That's got to be done because of the cartel, the gangs.
Amen.
I mean, it's terrible. Does he have enough officers that can be out on the beat? I mean, you see something on TV every day that's just horrifying.
Yeah,
And
that we
then-
didn't used to see.
That's correct.
And this is something that's new. And I've talked about it until I'm blue in the face, but we've got to somehow get a handle on that.
You know, we're up to 73 documented gangs in Lubbock County.
Wow. That's 73 too many.
Yes, sir. And so secondarily, it does get back to roads as the next issue, and having a strategic plan that you can explain how you will fund it that takes us over the next 10 years, not just catch up from where we are today. And the longer you wait to do a road or to widen it or improve it, the more costly it gets. Construction inflation is outpacing the cost of borrowing for a city or a county. And that's something, everybody hates debt, but it's important to understand the longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes to all the taxpayers.
So let me, I know this is kind of skipping over, but one thing we haven't talked about, we're running out of time, is the Expo Center. You know, we had a bond for the Expo Center. It looks like maybe the bond's going to be short of what we were hoping to get as far as size-wise and the amount of money they were going to spend. Is the county going to, and I know that a lot of the commissioners have said no, but is the county going to have to foot any of the bill for that?
I've heard you speak on this frequently. I support the Expo Center. We have every wonderful athletic facility for kids in our community, and we have, as a community, spent nothing on junior livestock or having proper facilities, and the fairground facilities are not adequate. Knowing that, whether they put it on University or they coordinate with the fairgrounds, I'm indifferent. The way the project will work is you'll have the $35 million that the county can raise from the hotel tax and the rent car tax. That will be all the county will put in. The Expo Center guys will have to raise the money for the rest. I don't have any doubt that they'll have trouble raising the rest of the money from local foundations, statewide foundations, corporate givers. I mean, there's a great deal of interest in that facility, not just for rodeo.
Yeah.
And the county won't have to pay any additional amount, and they need agreements that say that.
Well, Lynn, we're up against the clock. Glad to have you out this morning, and best of luck in your run for County Commissioner Precinct 1.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks
So
for coming
we've got to
on.
take a break here at 7:30, and Dave and Matt will be back with more after this.